thank you to all the viewers for being here today too. It's certainly different times that we are in right now, and unfortunately we can't be with our students in our classrooms or gymnasiums, but I've become very grateful for this time off and have participated in a number of webinars, have read some educational articles, had time to search through all of the amazing ideas, creativity on social media of my colleagues out there too. So there's some amazing things happening. When we go to workshops, we're hoping to come away with at least one thing that we can take away, and that would tell us if it's a successful workshop. If you take away more than that, that's bonus. So as we present our webinar today, we're hoping you can take something away from this too, as we present engaging student leadership.
Thanks, Kim. So who exactly are we? Faye explained a little bit, but we'll just go into a little more detail. Working with me today is Kim Gilhespy. Kim is a physical and health education teacher for the Waterloo Region District School Board and is, of course, at the world-renowned School of Clemens Mill. She's also an OELC course director, currently the course director of a SPARK program, which is grade 6 physical activity and recreation. She's also the PHE Distinguished Teacher Award winner, and just yesterday was announced as the CIRA Rising Professional Award winner. As well, she's also been the PHE Canada Champion of the Month, I think January last year. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you. This is the inspiring and creative Chris Wilson, has been a teacher, like Faith said, for 31 years. After a series of play days and special events, Chris Wilson retired last year to a big hurrah celebration at the end, and congratulations to him for that. He is the current CIRA president still, and CIRA stands for Canadian Intramural Recreation Association. He is the course director at OELC in Intermediate Athletics, which is a grade 7 and 8 program, Leadership Through Athletics. He is an author and co-author of numerous resources you should check out. He has presented, he's a keynote and workshop presenter, has presented in every province in Canada and into the United States as well. And then last year, 2019, he was awarded the PHE Award for Teacher Excellent in Physical Education. Whoop, whoop.
Thanks, Kim. So what are we going to get out of this webinar? Hopefully, as Kim said, you can get at least one little nugget or one little tidbit that you can take from it, maybe possibly more. But what are we going to cover? We're going to talk about leadership, what it is and why we want to engage our students in these things. We're going to talk about what we do at Clemens Mill with our athletic crew, how we go through an application tryout process, meeting or organization that might help you out if you run one or want to run something similar. We'll talk about the components of leadership. We'll look at what we call LDAs, stem from OELC, which are leadership development activities, how we help our students become better leaders. We'll talk about how we let them shine near the end, and then wrap up kind of with what's going to look like in fall of 2020, given everything that we've got.
Fantastic. So a little bit about our school that we'll be talking about throughout this presentation. It's called Clemens Mill Public School. It's located in Cambridge, Ontario, and is part of the Waterloo Region District School Board. It usually has about 750 to 800 students in grades kindergarten to grade 8, over 50 incredible staff as well. We are home of the Dolphins. In one of the pictures there, you can see our dolphin mascot called Splash. Dolphins?
Splash.
You can see in the pictures too. We have an incredible staff and administration too, often buying in, dressing up, joining in spirit days. We have a one banner with QDPE last year. A couple of things we're proud of too that kind of stand out a little bit more. Chris and I have worked on 2 courtyards that were really abandoned and quite tattered and worn out, and they were turned into wellness areas where students and staff can go to and reflect and take time away and kind of come back rejuvenated and regrouped and ready to learn. And the second initiative that we did was creating a sensory pathway. So we have a hallway that's about 60 feet long, and we did both sides of it. So we ended up with about 120 feet of amazing decals that we planned, created, cut out, and laid down on the floor.
So not only have we been involved in leadership at our school and schools that we've been at, we've also been very much involved in a place called the Ontario Education Leadership Centre, better known as OELC. It is in Orillia, Ontario, and it's a site where students are chosen from their school by leaders as leaders, and they get sent up to OELC for a week at a time to participate in any number of programs ranging from athletics to drama and arts, student leadership at many different grade levels, from the grade 6 all the way up into high school. There are even some college programs that get run in there. Kim and I ourselves are involved in the intermediate athletics program and the Spark program, and we highly recommend, if you live in Ontario, certainly sending your students to OELC, where they can become much better leaders. They spend a whole week there, and it's all about learning what their leadership skills are and what's going to make them better. A fantastic facility.
So we've come to our first poll question. We'd like to know from you viewers, what area of education do you represent? We've merged primary and junior together for kindergarten to grade 6. Intermediate, we're labeling as grade 7 and 8. Senior is high school, post-secondary, and then other. Please comment and let us know what role you have.
Okay, so our first polling question is, what area of education do you represent? And please select the appropriate response and click submit. It looks like 70% of you have responded, and we'll give another 20 seconds. Okay. And in the comments, I see we have some school health promoters, and we have teacher for K to 12, K to 8, and we have Lisa, who is a school admin, actually admin with OELC, and Chris from Quebec, got teaching in a rural small school, and he's covering PE K to 9. And we have Julia, who is a youth consultant for Lakeland District for sport. Welcome. And we have Lynn from Books. Welcome, Lynn. Nice to see you here. Okay, so we're gonna close the poll right now. And let me share the result with everyone. Okay, now and I'll hand it back over to Kim and Chris.
Great, thank you, Faye.
Thanks, Faye. So great to see a wide range, all the way from primary up through the high school level. Looks like no post-secondary, but you know, welcome to all those other people as well, including Lisa. Welcome. Kim, have you got your poll on there?
I do have my screen up. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so let's talk about what is leadership then. So here's one definition of what leadership could be: being a role model to others while influencing and motivating them towards achieving a common goal. So underlined role model, obviously, we want others to follow us. We need to show them the way. Influencing, to have an effect and making sure that that effect is positive. and motivating, giving them the drive to achieve that goal that you want to achieve, but you want everybody else to achieve it as well. And we know that this is just one definition of many, and Chris is going to go on and talk a little bit more, if I could get my screen to go, there we go, about different components of leadership.
A lot of you have seen these wordles, and this is just a wordle that has what we consider to be some of the important components of leadership. You know, developing that communication and group dynamics and team building and teamwork and all of those things. You can see a couple of t-shirts down at the bottom on the screen that we've used to help our students sort of understand what skills we want them to have through that leadership. And as Kim said, every definition is different, and what you believe leadership is might be different than us. But all, you know, in general, it's all rather consistent.
And we know that leaders are not born, they're grown. Leadership, it says in the paradigm, is not just for a few, but everybody can be a leader. And we know firsthand that great leaders want to be agents of change. They want to seek to improve things and rally people toward that better vision. People are very involved in what leaders want to do, and so they make connections to these people, and they put these people and the common good first.
Thanks, Kim. So why would you want to engage your students in leadership? It really doesn't matter what level you're at. It's going to benefit them as individuals, and it's going to benefit your school. The school, it's going to make a difference in the school and the community within the school. They're going to have increased school spirit. The behavior is going to be better. Students are going to want to attend, so your attendance is going to be better. It's going to contribute to the positive culture of the school. When your leaders are role modeling that positive culture, it rubs off on the rest of your students. It gives those students a voice. Having a voice is such an important component right now in education, and this is a way to do it through your student leadership programs. They can run intramural programs. I mean, we're here on PHE Canada, so most of you are probably going to be in athletic leadership, but it doesn't even have to be athletic. It could be any programs that you wanted, from student council to arts, drama, whatever. We'll talk about that shortly. They're going to prepare and perform announcements for you. Leaders are available when needed. In our school, quite often we would have groups come to us saying, we need to do this, and they would just ask if they could use our existing student leadership. And how's it going to benefit them themselves? They're going to become better students. They're going to learn those qualities that it takes to be a good leader, and the skills. They're going to learn to take a stand for themselves and stand for others. It's going to prepare them for the next step, whether the next step is high school, a job, preparing a resume. It's going to increase their confidence, make them feel better about themselves. And again, that increased ownership of student life. They feel like they're the ones that are organizing the things that are happening in the school, so they're going to take more pride in it. And they're going to have a sense of good purpose, good value within themselves. Who doesn't want that?
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. Question number 2, our poll question is, we wondered, what is your level of experience with leadership? Okay, we'll pass it back to you.
All right, so please select an answer and click the submit button. And Kim, in the meantime, do you want to talk about like, how do you feel like a leadership level is at intermediate or at a pro? How do you differentiate that?
Yeah, so good question. Beginner, I would assume, is people who are just kind of coming in, maybe even to the profession, that haven't seen too much leadership within schools or within organization. Intermediate, maybe you've come in and you've seen a lot, and you're just starting to dip your toes a little bit more, and perhaps be somebody who helps facilitators. Advanced would be taking the lead on things, and pro, you're way far beyond, and you're doing some amazing leadership things in your community or globally, and so forth.
Awesome. So it looks like 70% of you have responded. And those of you who have not yet responded, go ahead and submit your responses now, and we'll close the poll in a few moments. All right, so we're now closing the poll. And here is the result. So it looks like the majority of you responded intermediate.
Okay, well that's a little all over the board. Those 3% pros, this is great. I love to see that too. You know, I've gone to workshops for my entire life and always believe there's something that I can learn from just about anybody. So this kind of helps us guide where we're going to go with the rest of the presentation and what our discussion topics are.
Awesome.
Fantastic, thank you. So we have a little bit of an experiment for you right now, and we meant to say this earlier, but if you have just happen to have a $20 bill handy, pull it out. If you have a $5 bill, that's great too. If you don't, and you just have a piece of scrap paper, you can write your $20 on it, and it will work just fine. So take your $20 bill, whichever it may be, and we want you to take that bill, fold it in half. In fact, fold it again. Don't fold it straight. Fold it in a lot of different ways, and maybe you want to squeeze it and squish it and try to destroy it. You might want to throw it on the ground and stomp on it if you so choose. And then peel it open if you can. Now, we would do this with our students and show them and have them do it too if they had a $20 bill or on paper. And then we'd ask, who would like to have my $20 bill and why?
So this is a great little quick experiment to show with your students to talk about value. This is the value of the dollar bill, but we try and transpose this over to the students. So before you did anything to your $20 bill or we did anything to our $20 bill, what was its value, Kim?
$20.
And when we folded it, what was it worth?
$20.
And we stomped on it and crushed it and punched it and stepped on it and did everything. What was the value of that, Kim?
Still $20.
So it's a great debrief. Probably the most important part of debriefing all of the experiments and things that we do is, you know, what do you learn from it? And that demonstration shows that no matter what you do to a $20 bill, it's still worth the same thing. And the same thing applies to students as individuals, not just your leaders, but the students that your leaders are working with. It doesn't matter what their background is, what's happened to them, what's going to happen to them. They all have value. They're all worth the same, and they should treat each other the same, especially if they're working together on teams. So it's a great little experiment to use with your leaders to teach them about their value.
Absolutely. So we wanted to recognize that there are different types of student leadership groups. Ours that we'll be talking more so about is athletic crew. And athletic crews focus on intramurals, play days, wellness initiatives, spirit, athletic events, and so forth. Student council, quite often seen in high schools, focus on fundraising, school spirit, and we know so much more as well. Arts councils focuses on the arts, like musicals and talent shows and art shows. Global Issues has special causes. They often follow the Me to We initiative and have special global projects as well. Eco Team, obviously, on environmental causes. And then in our school, we have what's called PALS, which stands for Playground Activity Leaders in Schools. And what that is it's a group of students, junior students, that run physical activities during recess for other junior students. And then, of course, the last, classroom leadership. So they focus on taking smaller leadership roles within the classroom. And what's important to note is that it doesn't matter what group you belong to or form, all groups are leadership. They're all making a difference in the school and school community.
Thanks, Kim. So yeah, lots of different student leadership groups, and they're all valued. I'm not sure there we go. All right. So specifically at Clemens Mill, the school that Kim and I were at for a number of years, we focused on an activity called, or a group called the Athletic Crew, Clemens Mill Athletic Crew. And for us, what they did, they were a group of students that show leadership in a variety of activities. First and foremost, they would plan and run all of our intramural programs. And we ran intramural programs at every level, primary level, junior, intermediates. We were a K-8 school, and we had days for everyone. And we had different groups that would plan, run, organize those activities. We also were very big on Spirit Day, as you can see from the color pictures there, that we like to dress up and have fun. But it was organized and led by our athletic crew. And they always had activities with it. It wasn't just dressing up. They would do fun things with all of those things. Of course, they can help referee and scorekeep if you have school teams and stuff that are being organized. And of course, they are role models. That fun spirit, appropriate behavior at school, show all of those things. So that's what they do, but what do we expect from them? As their organizers and their leaders, we expect our athletic crew to demonstrate leadership. And what does that look like for us? First off, initiative. We don't just want students that are gonna, do what we ask. We want students that are gonna take that initiative and do things, take action. Before they even know that we're gonna ask them to do things, it's being done. They're gonna be responsible, attend all of the AC activities, balance their school life, meaning their marks and getting all their homework done. And they're also gonna be making good choices when things are happening in a school. They're the ones that are stepping up. They're going to challenge themselves. We ask our students to figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are and get better at them. So they take on different roles, sometimes taking on a leadership role, sometimes taking on a support role, working on all of them. We have them actually set SMART goals at the beginning of the year, and then we work towards achieving them through all of the work that they do for us. And probably the most important for us is that positive role model. We want them to act in a manner that supports an inclusive school environment, not just on AC when they're working with us, but everywhere. When they're in math class, when they're in English class, when they're in French class, we're expecting them to follow school expectations and be those wonderful students that we know they can be.
Thanks, Chris. So on the right-hand side of this next slide, you're going to see our application. Yes, we do have an application process for students to go through to become a leader. It's one of the more sought out groups within the school. We'd love to be able to take all them, and it really depends on numbers of applications each year to help us decide how many to take. So Chris went over the top of the application. In the middle, the athletic crew is looking for leaders who can answer yes to all of the following. Basically, we're giving them our expectations. I will bring energy and enthusiasm. I will always dress up and go big on Spirit Days. And if you've seen some of the pictures down below, we really do try to lead by example and go big on those Spirit Days. I will show initiative and seek opportunities to help others. I will be organized and manage my time well. I will speak in front of small groups, large groups, and the school. So this one I'm just going to stop and talk about a little bit, just because the students are going down, yes, I can do that, yes, I can do that. And they get to this one, and there's often a hesitation. We know that public speaking is one of the more difficult, if not the most difficult thing that some people need to try to do or overcome. So you'll see the kids who circle in between the yes and the no, or circle no and then put comments in there. It's certainly not a deal breaker, but it helps us to know what their comfort level is. Final one is I will collaborate really well with my peers and teachers. Chris will do questions.
So then the next section from the last page and on to this page, we look at some questions where we allow them to have an actual written response. Gives them a little bit more of an opportunity to express themselves. So the first one is, what are some of the activities or experiences that they have at school and maybe even outside of the school that demonstrate their leadership? A lot of times students haven't had the opportunity within a school to be part of a leadership crew. So maybe they've done it elsewhere through their sport teams, through their clubs and organizations, or maybe just in the community. This allows them to let us know what those leadership roles have been. And then we want them to actually take it a little further and understand what they're getting out of that. What roles are they doing in there? What actions are they doing within that specific leadership role that they've taken? Maybe it is just, working with seniors or whatever. Then we look at what leadership qualities they bring to the AC. They here are talking about their strengths. And it's tough for young students to look at, what do they do well? It's tough for some people. So that's looking at their strengths. And then finally, what challenges might you face on AC? A lot of times on an application or an interview, you'll see what are your weaknesses. Kim and I firmly believe that no one has weaknesses. All we have are challenges that we might need to face. Anybody can get better at those things, and we want to know, what areas they might need to improve on. And we'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, it's I can't speak in front of a crowd, and we help them with that. We do practices, and we'll actually show you some stuff later on in the webinar on what we do. So then there's just a highlighted section on there. Remember, you are a role model in our school, and your words and actions should positively reflect a behavior that is associated with being a leader. We're expecting them to come to all of their meetings, do all of their duties, positive behavior. And then we actually have right on here, this is like a contract. If they're applying, they put their signature on there to say that they're doing that. Their parents put their signature on there, or guardians, whichever they have. And then finally, we ask a homeroom teacher to sign off on this. Sometimes we'll have homeroom teachers that don't want to say no to students. So we just ask the homeroom teacher to let us know individually if they're concerned with a student for one reason or another. And then we take in all of this as we select our crew.
Fantastic. So after the applications form has been filled out and handed in, all students are then invited to try out. So we have 3 different tryouts that we go through, depending again on the number of students looking to try out. First one, they come into the gym, and as they are walking in the door, we say, you're coming to this corner or that corner, go there, that group. And they're all put into different groups randomly. They have 10 minutes to create a cheer and then perform it for others. And that's all that they're told to do. And as they're doing that, us as facilitators, Chris and I are walking around looking for those students demonstrating teamwork, getting right involved, contributing ideas, listening to others, vocalizing their own thoughts, socializing. Are they really becoming involved, or are they kind of stepping back and following others? So those are a couple of the things we're looking for. In tryout number 2, each student individually is asked to present a game to the group. So this is really self-led, self-run. They'll be formed in a circle. Circular games are often what they would turn to, and for smart reasoning too. And whoever really steps in and goes first, kudos to them. They've just shown the initiative. We're also looking for voice, clear instructions, being prepared, and assertiveness. Chris, tryout number 3.
Then we move on to our 3rd section of the tryout after the application. And we bring them in, we set up a microphone, we have them all sitting there, and we have a bucket full of just kind of random topics. And we call out a student, they have to come up and then go to the mic, and we give them 30 seconds to talk about that topic. It's putting them on the spot, looking for confidence, creativity, quick thinking, seeing what their ums and ahs are like. So for example, we might say, Kimberly, you're next. Kimberly walks up, throws her hand in the bucket, and pulls out the topic, hiking. And then I say, timer, go.
All right, well, hiking is a great activity. It's not a sport, but more of a recreational activity. You should definitely try it. There are so many trails within Waterloo region, and there's one in Ontario called the Bruce Trail. I've hiked it before, and it's amazing. Trilliums are out right now. You should go and see it.
I would tell them the time, and then basically what I'm doing is, as the leader, I'm giving her a score out of 10. Here I would give Kim a 10 out of 10. There was no ums or ahs. It was a nice, clear voice, used some intonation in her language, good eye contact, all the things that I'm looking for in a speaker for AC. So I'd give her a score out of 10. We'd combine it with a score from the games, a score from the first cheer, and then look at their application, and then we would tally it all up and then decide, who are we going to take on our crew? And to be honest, it changes every year. Sometimes if we had 40 people that had perfect scores and everything, we'd probably take all 40 of them. If we only have 2, then we start looking lower and, saying, okay, who can we develop into leaders? So the number changes every year, but we do have a tryout, and we are looking for the best of the best.
Well said. All right, so once we have our athletic crew, within one of the first meetings or 2, we would split them up into smaller spirit groups and intramural groups. So each week we would work on something different and facilitate new opportunities for these leaders. This was last year, October 2019, and just our kind of month at a glance. In the first week, we covered spirit, brainstorming, and planning. We brainstormed as a whole group, The spirit groups brainstormed, and typically if you have 4 spirit groups, one will take October, one November, December, and January, and there's your first term. They bring their Chromebooks. Quite often we'll keep track or a table where everybody can kind of see what is happening. We talk about getting the word out through advertising, announcements. Quite often they'll do skits and go around to different classrooms at lunches and show whatever we're advertising. Week 2, leadership qualities. So this is where us as facilitators kind of come in, and in this case, we were teaching communication and trust. Some of the activities we did that week were using the spandex circle, gutter ball, slingshot, and birth canal. Yep, that's what I said. 3rd week, intramural planning. So now they're in their intramural groups and they're planning what activities they want to do. Is it sitting volleyball? Is it circus? Is it kunkin? And then plan it. Usually our intramurals run for 2 weeks at a time. And then 4th week is leadership skills. So talking about icebreakers, getting attention is a great one to do at the beginning of the term or beginning of the year, so that those student leaders can get the attention of the people and the kids that they're supervising at the time. So teaching them call and respond, or how to use a whistle properly too. And then making sure that each week we kind of reflect and celebrate the achievements and the efforts that are put into what our student leaders are doing.
Thanks, Kim. So Kim's going to talk a little bit about the Spirit Day themes that we involve ourselves, and then I'll look at some intramural activities.
Thank you. So some of the Spirit Day themes we've had are Color House Day, Canada 150 Day, National Parks, ER Day, which is one of our favorites, Multicultural Day, Creative Hair Day, Wellness Wednesday. We've had a Choose Your Own Spirit Day, and that was done last year. And brilliant, really any class could choose what they wanted their theme to be. So we had one class dress up in a beach theme, another one a Harry Potter theme, and it was really great to see all those individual ideas. And then the last one on there, which was one of those series of events to celebrate Mr. Wilson's retirement, was what would Mr. Wilson wear day? And the answer to that is just about anything.
Just going to go back. We just got a question that said, what grade would we use this application form for? Our leadership crew is grade 7 and 8, but I think it's applicable to pretty much any age. And leaders can be any age. If you're at a K-5 school, yeah, my leaders would be in grade 5, and I would probably use that same application. Maybe adapt some wording a little bit, but same thing. So we also are looking at intramural activities. When we run our intramurals, we don't necessarily run what we would call traditional things. We do traditional and non-traditional sports. We do team and individual. We do sports and non-sports. If you look at these things, we do kunkin, which is probably our #1 requested sport. If you don't know it, you can talk to us later. It's a great activity from one of the CIRA books. Circus, we love our circus unit. Volleyball, sitting volleyball, just meditation sometimes, just dance. Everybody loves to dance. Basketball games, wellness activities, relays, parachutes, dodgeball, skipping, ultimate, chook ball. And sometimes we just have an activity where we just let equipment go outside and they sign it out and go from there. We also work up at OELC, as we mentioned, and we have a group up there that are called YFs, which are youth facilitators, and they actually run an entire play day for our program with our leaders. And they've done wonderful things like Hunger Games, Wonderful World of Wellness, Super Mario World. Why not do all those, fantastic things?
Fantastic, thank you. All right, so we're going to get into doing some leadership development activities, again, LDAs. When we would do this at school, our typical nutrition break is 40 minutes, so we would take advantage of eating as we did LDAs. And then at OELC with leadership development up there, we have more time, so at least about an hour and 15 minutes. And our goal is to facilitate experiences. And notice we're using the word facilitate as opposed to teach. We're facilitating opportunities that are fun, engaging, impactful, let our youth leaders grow into the great leaders of tomorrow. So the graphic on this page, on this slide, shows your comfort zone in that little circle at the bottom. it's comfortable there, no doubt it is. But where the magic happens is outside of that. So we really try to, in both of those environments, provide a safe and inclusive space where leaders are encouraged to go out of their comfort zone, to try something other than their normal routine, to be open for new ideas and to express new ideas too, and not be afraid to try them. And they value everybody's ideas, and they're always open to them too.
So this is just a list of probably the 3 most common types of leadership: autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Most of your students are going to fit into one of these 3 categories, although, as we said, there are many more. The autocratic leader is the authoritarian, the one individual who assumes control over the group decisions and goals, and group members have little or no input. You also have the democratic leader, participatory, where group member ideas are valued and group discussion is honored. Group members have input, but the decision is made by the leader. Then you've got the laissez-faire, which is the let it go kind of leader, and just says, here's my group, do what you want. We often do an activity up at OELC. Actually, there's quite a few activities like this, but where we ask them to do a task. Maybe it's just as simple as building something, and we kind of assign groups to these particular types of leadership, and it really shows the students which group will work the best. But yeah, types of leadership. But also remember that it doesn't matter what a student's leadership style is, they're all valued. It's just learning to nurture your type of leadership and maybe trying to work towards what works best for everyone.
Amazing. So now we're going to get into some of the more active for webinars, not like a workshop where we're physically active getting up, but we do want to talk about the components of leadership in a fun and active way. So respect, communication, problem solving, teamwork, trust, and creativity are the components we've chosen to expand further upon. Chris.
R-E-E-C-T.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Everybody sing along. So respect is a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. And why is respect important? Respectful leaders are respected and trustful leaders. They are more resilient and better able to handle difficult situations. So when we have our leaders, we don't just expect them to be good leaders. We teach them how to be good leaders. It's what we do with our program at school. It's what we do up at OELC. So we teach them how to be respectful. So the activity like the $20 bill activity that Kim showed you at the beginning, an activity like who is missing, circular game, and you just figure out who's stepped out of the group, all about knowing people. And then there's also the don't look at me activity, which is a great activity. You can all play along with this one. It's a simple little activity where I'm going to say, look down. You're going to look away from the computer down here, and then I'm going to say, look up. When you look up, you're either going to look at the computer screen or you're going to look, as Kim is, at the person beside you, even though there's not really somebody there. So look down, look up, look down, look up. In this case, Kim and I are both looking at each other in a circle. That would be a time where we're looking at each other across from the circle. And there's lots of different things to do with this activity, but when we're teaching respect, it would be now Kim and I would go and gather at the side, take 30 seconds to learn something about each other, learn to respect each other. Great little activity to learn that. Debrief is very important. Debrief is kind of, what do we learn from all of this? And in this, we would actually, talk to the students about why is eye contact important? How does it make it more personal? What happens if you avoid eye contact? Keep in mind, there are some cultures out there where eye contact is not respectful. So just be aware of your audience when you're doing that. So that's respect.
Teamwork.
Makes the dream.
It does. Is the collaborative effort of a group to achieve a common goal. So why is it important? Well, from very beginning to brainstorming, creating a plan to final outcome, it's everybody's individual skills that are all brought together, merged together to build the best whatever you can come up with, solution to a problem, whatever it might be. It's also the greatest time where a team can learn from each other as well. So you can do that with whole group circular juggling, Sticks, which again is in one of the resources, and Suits Me. So we're going to play Suits Me right now. And again, play along, please, at home. And what I'm going to do is at school, everybody would have a playing card. And then they would mingle around and find somebody else. And when they found that other person, they'd follow the instructions. If they had a heart, they would tell something to the person, something they loved. A diamond, something they value. A spade, something they dig. And a clover, or sorry, a club or a clover is something they wish. All right, here you go, Chris. What do you love? Oops, here you go.
I love being retired.
All right, next one.
Diamond. I value a good webinar.
All right, here we go. Joke's on you.
Joke's on me.
Had to throw something in. All right, threw you off. There you go.
I wish that it would stay this warm for the entire summer.
That's a good one. Okay, the last one, home viewers, for you. Think about what do you dig right now? What are you into?
I dig it.
Dig it. Hot diggity dog. For me, Game of Thrones. I didn't think I'd go there, but I'm enjoying it. Chris, what about you?
I dig dirt.
Good one. Debrief questions for this game. Why is it important to know more than just surface information about your teammates? We talk about that.
So moving on to problem solving, another key component to being a good leader. The process of defining the problem, generating alternatives, selecting the best alternative, and implementing the solution. Quite often it's a circular component where you got to repeat the process many times to actually solve the problem. It's important because a lot of the events and activities that your students are going to run, there's going to be unexpected things happening. They've got to be able to problem solve, think on the fly, critically solve the issue. So games that we often use to teach problem solving. The Polar Bear and Ice Holes Club. It's a reading information. I am a member of the Polar Bear Club. Anybody else a member of the Polar? Oh, Kim is. I'm not sure if anybody else is, but if you are, fantastic. We also have an activity called How Many. So I don't have popsicle sticks with me, but I'm going to pretend that these are popsicle sticks. And what I would like you to do is to try and figure out, if I were to put 4 popsicle sticks like this, it represents a number. So I'd like you to think in your head what you think that number might be. And then Kim, what is the actual number that is?
The actual number that that's showing is 2.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's try another one. In this case, we've got 4 popsicle sticks in a vertical pattern. Think in your head what you think that number is. And Kim, what do you think?
Number 1.
Oh, correct. You're doing a very good job of this. Let's try this one. Ooh, I know it's a hashtag, but 4 popsicle sticks like that, we might think that that number is...
That is a number 4.
Nice, nice. Kim, you are solid. Let's see if I can throw a curveball at you and see if you can that one.
Okay. That's 4 as well.
Yes, it is. So that's a fun little problem solving activity called How Many? And if you don't know how we figured that out, by all means ask. We might tell you later. We might not. But again, so debrief questions, paying attention to details. Why is that so important? And why is it important not to focus on one thing and instead see the whole big picture as to what you might be missing?
Great, and that leads us into trust. So trust, what is it? Confidence in the honesty and integrity of another person or thing. So why is it important? Well, it's going to increase that commitment to achieve those team goals. It allows team members to take chances better. If you create a community of trust with the people in it and a safe environment, you're going to allow for that magic that we talked about earlier to happen. Games could be Zipper or Trust Falls, Avoid the Obstacles, and Continuum, which assesses risk. So we're going to play Continuum now. So I'm going to ask Chris a series of questions. Now you can do this with a whole class if you want, and have one side and the other side, or have them along the line from a level of least likelihood, right across to highest likelihood of doing the things that you ask. Chris is going to have a plus for high likelihood that he would do it, a minus for low likelihood. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
How likely are you to parachute out of a plane? Ooh, all right. Oh, he's highly likely. Good to know. How likely are you to hold a tarantula in your hand? Not so likely. How likely are you to speak in front of a gymnasium full of people? Likely. How likely are you to take the lead right away in a group task? Nah, kind of in the middle, and that's okay. All answers are okay. It helps your team members and you as facilitators understand the likelihood and assess their risk level. In any of the trust activities too, some debrief questions. Why is it important to trust your teammates? What happens when you breach that trust? Does it take longer to build it up the second time, and can you? How long does it take to lose that trust too?
Thanks, Kim. Moving on to communication. Process of sending and receiving information in different ways. It is critical to be able to communicate on so many levels, from organization to planning and implementation. So games that you can use for this, there's the toothbrush and toothpaste activity where you squirt the toothpaste out, explains like words, quite simple. There's the great communicator game, which is a listening activity. And then there's the silent interview. This is one of our favorites. We would pair students up. So right now I'm paired with Kim. And I'm going to ask Kim to do a silent interview, meaning she's not going to use the words, she's going to use her actions. Question for Kim is, I would like you to share 3 things that you would do in the woods.
Oh.
So she's not going to use her language. So she's doing number 1 right now. Looks like number 1 is done. Now she's moving on to number 2, and I'm using my communication skills to figure out what she's doing. Okay, number 2 and number 3. Okay, fantastic. All right, so it is now my job to then introduce. So I would like to say, delegates, here's Kim Gilhespy. Kim Gilhespy likes to do 3 things in the woods. The first one is she likes to Nordic walk using her hiking poles. Number two, that was a little, can you remind me of number 2? Oh yes, Kim likes to climb large trees and act like a monkey. And number 3, she likes to play hide and seek with her family. So Kim, how accurate was they?
I like your third one better than the one I was thinking. So I'm going to go with yours. Mine, I was struggling with that last one a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
In terms of 3 questions, it's important to know that you get the details right in communication, obviously, and ensure proper communication. What happens if the wrong information is shared? So fun little activity to use within your leadership groups.
Right, and that leads us to our last component of leadership, creativity. Using your imagination and creating original ideas, it helps to see things differently, opens up possibilities for you and your team to problem solve, to try new things, inspire others, and so forth. Sally's Green Glass Door promotes creative thinking, and Bandana engages creativity. So, Chris, this might look like a bandana, but it's really, a mustache.
Well, Kim, this is not actually a mustache. This is a bib for eating sloppy food.
Ooh, you need that. That's why it's so handy. Maybe it's not really a bib for eating sloppy food, but it's a dragon's tail that whips around as it flies through the air.
Actually, it's not a dragon's tail. It's actually a list of the debrief questions.
And the debrief question for this one is, how does creative thinking help you in your leadership? Next slide, Chris, let them shine.
All right, mine's just lagging a little bit here. So we feel it's really important for us to allow our student leaders to shine, to take the front stage, and for people to understand, you know, the work that they're doing and all of that stuff. So the first way we do that is through t-shirts. You can see the shirt that Kim has got on. That t-shirt was actually Clemens Mill Athletic Crew. Every member of our athletic crew had that shirt. So when they were running activities for us, they were wearing those shirts. Same thing up at OELC. If you're a YF, you've got the teal blue shirts that are quite famous right now. So t-shirts, great idea.
Celebration parties. So really want to celebrate the successes that are made and the effort that's put in as well, the learning that's happening. Sometimes we'll have casual lunches or working lunches with a small group of leaders. Maybe they're working on a spirit day or an announcement. We'll work together with them. Sometimes, especially up at OELC, when there's some free time, to just hang out with our youth facilitators and get to know each other more and what each other's goals are for being there. Chris.
And we like to recognize them with, you know, wrap up things. So whether it's the year end or a final day for a program, we would have recognition somehow at the end of that time to make them understand how appreciative we are.
Fantastic. Team building days. We've often taken a small group of our leaders at school off-site, maybe to a low ropes or a vertical playground or disc golf, and just to kind of create that cohesive bonding again. As well, leadership summits, if they're available, we'll go to those.
We just like to sometimes just give them small tokens to let them know how much we appreciate them through cards, you know, certificates, gifts, little treats, just some way to let them know we appreciate what they do.
And finally, references as well. So we do a little bit of a resume writing. I think leaders, and Chris may have said this earlier, they have a lot more leadership skills than they even realize going through the course of the year. And then we're always available to give them references as well. Together, we shine brighter.
Nice, good job.
So leadership in other grades, and many of you were in primary junior. Several years ago, I was a grade 6 teacher. There's a lot of advantages to doing leadership in other grades. So you have your students all day. They're not on a rotary schedule usually. You can teach your leadership through other curricular areas. So my class at that point, they proclaimed themselves the kindness crew, and we were doing letter writing. And they thought, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if we can give some other kids in the school letters? So they put a box at the front of the school for other students to put their name in or the name of a friend who they think would like a letter. And then they wrote them letters and we sent them to them through their classrooms every day. It was a great initiative that also counted for my assessment and evaluation. So with other grades, simpler but similar activities can still develop leadership. And we'll quickly go through this. I know we're a little bit over time, but looking towards fall 2020, because it is going to look different. So continue going online using Google Classroom and Google Hangouts. Facilitate more leadership opportunities. As we've created this together, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, maybe this is going to be leadership for our athletic crew in the fall, doing something online with these small, simpler activities. Startup week activities. We typically do a week full of an activity or a bonding activity with the whole school or divisions each day. That's going to need to change. So maybe it's creating more of a virtual classroom for a world of wellness instead of everybody being as a whole school. Spirit days, keep it simple. Dress up days, creative hair days, maybe do things more divisionally or class-wise as opposed to whole school. Chris.
The youth of today are leaders of tomorrow, according to our fantastic Nelson Mandela. So there are all kinds of youth leadership organizations out there. We highly, highly, highly recommend Ontario Education Leadership Centre for those people in Ontario. But you can see there's a list of some other ones that are out there, and I'm sure there's all kinds in every province, but we highly recommend, if you have student leaders, recommending them to one of these camps.
So CIRA Ontario, a lot of the activities, not all, but a lot of them that we've done today have come from this existing resource called Follow the Leader.
In addition to that, Kim and I are currently writing a book for CIRA Ontario on team building, and hopefully that'll be out fairly soon, and we're ready to go with that. We have mentioned OELC a number of times, and for the first time in 72 years, they have had to shut down because of COVID, and they are looking at some online resources. They're looking to put out a teacher professional development kit in the fall. If you've been to OELC, you know about the swag. They're putting together a swag kit that people can buy, so that's available as well. So we're just going to put up our contact information there. It's all of mine and Kim's information, as well as contacting CIRA or OELC if you're interested, and that'll be up there the whole time. So
thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We certainly appreciate it. We hope you found your one thing or more that you can take away from it. And Faye, we can open it up to questions. We know we've gone kind of a little over time, but we're good to take questions if there are any.
Okay, so thank you, Kim and Chris, and we're now going to begin answering some of the questions submitted during today's presentation. And the first question is from Shelley. So the question is, hey, Chris and Kim, how much input did students involved in the athletic crew have in outlining these leadership expectations? Was it a collaborative process, or did you present these expectations?
It's kind of developed over the years, and I would say it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of us as leaders, it's a combination of the student input, it's a combination of administrative expectations. So yes, they have been involved, and it's developed, and it continues to develop. Every year we kind of, we might tweak it a little bit, change it. Would you agree, Kim?
Yeah, we've already done that, getting ready for next year, learning from the 2019-20 year. Thank you.
Perfect. And Kim, James is asking, would you be able to put back the contact info slide?
Yes,
so we'll just leave at that slide, and we'll continue to the second question, and that is from James. So the question is for Kim, and the question is, as a new PE teacher beginning next year, he's wondering if you could suggest resource for K-6 and how to get started with building a program. And I feel like this question we can also develop into like linking today's topic. Maybe how does a new teacher who is maybe unsure with their own leadership style or directions, and to come up with a program like this?
Fantastic. Congratulations, first of all. Well done. So good question.
I would say look at support. Like there are supports everywhere. Whether it's going to your administration first or other teachers that might be your mentors, and getting some help from there. If you can go beyond the school support, your board has hopefully got somebody at the board level that's there to help you. It might be an HPE person. And then there's the organizations that are out there. If you're in Ontario, talk to CIRA, talk to OFIA, talk to OASFI. If you're in one of the other provinces, like, they're all across, HPEC, SPIA, PHE Manitoba, PSIC, they all have organizations that are there to help you. You just have to reach out.
Yeah, and to add to that too, start off simple too. Those students, and I don't know if we mentioned that are not accepted onto our athletic council, we do a lot of leadership opportunities, especially in low organizational gains, in our PE program too. So learn along with your students and have fun with it. Start off small though.
Awesome. And next question is from James, and the question goes, how often do they run activities in this? Is this daily, or who is facilitating this? And is this at recess or lunch or after school?
So in our province, or at least in my board, we have nutrition breaks, so 2 40-minute breaks, and our gymnasium is full every morning of those breaks. So for example, and we have a cycle, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So day 1 and 4 is primary intramurals. They will come in, and again, the leadership students meet them there, that group, and instruct and supervise there. Wednesdays and Fridays, or day 3 and day 5, are juniors, and then intermediates have their days as well. It does need to be a teacher facilitator there, so I've opted to do my duty before school so that I'm available. But then we have other teachers too that come on board on the athletic crew, and they're there to help supervise as well. But it's full most every day.
Okay, and perfect. So the next question is about the tryout. So I would suggest because we received more than one question regarding the tryout. So I would suggest if we are not able to answer the tryout question during this session, I would recommend to write Kim or Chris an email and asking for the details. But the question we will ask during this session is, does the tryout occur because it is not possible to keep all the students? Because the numbers are too large, and if leaders can be built, why do we not keep those who show interest in leadership?
We have developed our AC into such a prestigious group within the school that when we put out our applications, we typically have sometimes over 100 applications. So no, it's not possible for us to keep all of them. We would love to. It really depends on your school and what you're doing, and
it depends on the number of staff we have as well too. When it's just Chris and I, it's hard to take 80 kids. If we have 3 or 4 other staff members that want to come on board, it's easier to take a higher number.
We also have a lot of other leadership groups within the school, and if they don't make it onto ours, we recommend that they try to get onto some of the other ones. Some of them are ones where they literally take anyone, and there have been times when students have, developed throughout part of the year, and by mid-year we're like, okay, Kim, we need to take Billy on to AC because he's shown that he deserves to be here.
Right. Yeah.
It is tough to not everyone. We totally get that, but it's just not manageable in our situation. It might be in yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. And I think we have our final question, and that is from Alex. I really like this question, and he's asking about incorporating equity and inclusion into a leadership program. So how are you able to manage that?
Do you want that one, Kim, or do you want me?
I do. I thought you were about to speak. You go first, I'll go second.
So, inclusion is something that we take very seriously. And we're a very diverse school. I think at one point we had close to 50 different languages that were spoken within our school, and we certainly do our best to make sure that it is an inclusive facility. I think we do a good job of that. And we even look at, once we've got that group, to making sure that the activities that we offer are inclusive of everything.
Yeah.
Answer that, or anything else, Kim?
The only thing I was going to add is our numbers last year. Typically, I think Chris and I feel if there's 2 or 3 facilitators, that 25 to 30 student leaders would be kind of ideal, give or take the dynamics of it. Last year, we really tried to think about that equity and inclusion base, and we ended up taking 43 students, which was fantastic because we had representation from so many different areas, and we're so proud of it. But there were just the 2 facilitators last year, and it was a little bit, or more sometimes, difficult managing all of those. But it's definitely a part of our program, of our programming, of our whole school community.
Awesome. And in the comments, I see Grant also said one possibility is to have multiple teachers involved in other leadership areas and have students rotate through different groups. So I think that's a valid point as well. So thanks, Grant. And I think that's it. That's the end of today's webinar. And is there anything you want to add, Kim and Chris?
Just thank you. Thank you for giving us an hour of your time. We certainly appreciate it. And thank you for letting us learn from you all out there too.
Awesome. And Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Kim, Chris, or PHE Canada at the conference at phecanada.ca. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's webinar and the PowerPoint. And maybe some of you don't know, but we have added some new sessions. So go to our website, phecanada.ca/spotlight series. There are new sessions coming up this Thursday and in the following weeks as well. So thanks again. And on behalf of PHE Canada, our presenters and partners, Human Kinetics and Canada's National Ballet School, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Kim and Chris.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.